Good morning. This is a Monday morning, and I heard Mondays are a good day to stuff your face. So eat something. Anyway, this is another raw story. It's about Donald Trump and the Supreme Court and his immunity. Donald Trump, if he wins immunity, will think he's a dictator or a king. He'll think he's a total, what is it called? He is a uh, ruler who cannot be touched by man, only God, or whatever. I can't remember. It's like the English monarchs. Anyway, he'll be installed by God or something. Anyway, the whole point is that this ruling could come at any time because they're pushing it through really fast. And this article is about how if they rule in favor of Trump, it could blow up in his face. They could do or try to do what some states have tried to do, which is like whenever there's been a decision on gerrymandering brought before the Supreme Court, they rule against them. The states go ahead and try and gerrymander anyway, and the court really doesn't have an arm with which to enforce it. The court only makes decisions. They don't make laws, and they have no law enforcement arm, even if they did make laws. So if the Supreme Court tells you to do something, you don't have to do it. Just like I've always been saying along with Roe versus Wade. You know, if you live in a state where there's no legislation on abortion, pro or con, even though there's nothing one way or the other, go ahead and do what you feel in your heart, because the Supreme Court can't tell you that Roe versus Wade is illegal or it's illegal to get an abortion, because they have no way to enforce that. They're only a judicial body. So what happens if they rule Trump is the supreme ruler of the United States by giving him immunity? He is also immune to them. So anything they tell him to do, anytime they rule against him, he can say, fuck you. I'm doing what I want to do. And there's nothing you can do about it. Why? Because I'm immune to any kinds of prosecution. Okay, and even if they could prosecute him, which they can't, if they rule that way, then he's immune. So this could, as it says here, I'll read you the headline. Here's how a Trump immunity win could blow up spectacularly in the Supreme Court's face. I agree with them. I think they better rule the right way in this. So let's listen to it.
Here's how a Trump immunity win could blow up spectacularly in the Supreme Court's face. If the Supreme Court agrees to hear arguments on whether Donald Trump should be immune from criminal acts, and then rules in the former president's favor, those same justices may one day rue the day they made that decision, an expert wrote Monday. It's the opinion of University of Baltimore School of Law professor Kim Whale, who pointed out that the former president has a history is ignoring the court, and he would be completely unrestrained from obeying them in the future. At issue in the filing brought to the court by special counsel Jack Smith is whether a president, by virtue of presidential immunity, is above the law. A decision in Trump's favor by the predominantly conservative court, broadly read, would present a re-elected Trump with an ability to ignore that same court in the future should he find himself being challenged for policies or executive orders deemed by critics to be unconstitutional. Related Clarence Thomas could deal a blow to Trump's Supreme Court hopes, ex-U.S. attorney. As Willie wrote for The Bulwark, during his first term, Trump reportedly considered ignoring the court's 5-4 decision in a case involving whether the Commerce Department could include a question about citizenship on the U.S. Census form. Roberts wrote the majority opinion rejecting Trump's attempt to confine the census to just citizens, and Trump called his ruling ridiculous. According to the legal scholar, that should weigh heavily on the justices' minds when considering giving the once and possibly future president unlimited immunity. They will surely be asking themselves whether Trump, in a second administration, will heed the court's rulings or instead decide that he is the rule of law when it comes to judicial decisions as well as everything else. She wrote before Riley adding, "We all know the answer to that question." In order to stay ostensibly relevant, conservatives on the court will accordingly have to band together and side with Trump in every case he cares about, or risk him simply declaring the court fake and doing whatever it ruled he or his administration should not do, she predicted. Once that happens, the court will lose whatever legitimacy it has left, she warned. You can read more here.
Well, there you go. I personally have no respect for the Supreme Court or any decisions they have made since Trump installed all the conservative justices. And I think that we have, I mean, if they tell me I can't do something, I wouldn't blink an eye before doing it because I know the Supreme Court is no longer objective. They're totally biased to the right, they're completely conservative. And even in the history of the Supreme Court, they've always been conservative or liberal, depending on who installed the justices. So it's never really been an objective Supreme Court that's supposed to enforce the law that is written in the Constitution of the United States. They've always been objective one way or the other, so they really have no knowledge that of what to do, except for what's in the Constitution, and a lot of times they've gone against it because of their political leanings. So the Supreme Court has no ethics. They have no credibility at this point. Anyway, they'll lose it all if they grant Donald Trump immunity. They won't have any credibility or any power whatsoever, which they don't have any power anyway. As I said, they're judicial, not legislative or not law enforcement. So there's nothing they can do to make anyone obey any decision they throw out there. So anyway, think about this. What you've got is fact and a lot of personal opinion, including my personal opinion. And I'm hoping to God they do not rule in Donald Trump's favor. And if they do, if we don't defeat them at the polls, then we're screwed. So vote blue, and let's hope that we defeat them in 2024. In fact, let's not hope, let's just do it. This is JC, St. Louis's oldest living hippie, saying, "Pox and more, Jack. Love you all, and fuck Trump."